It's day 2 of MPE. We're back in Berlin. Yesterday was an amazing day of conversations and learnings from the industry here. This morning I'm joined by Roy Blokker, Head of Commercial at Ecommpay. Welcome, Roy.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Great opportunity.
Thank you. We've got a few questions to run through this morning. The first one that I'd like to pose to you is regarding some research that Ecommpay did recently. I believe it was around shifts in the market. What were the kind of key findings that you had from that?
Yeah, indeed. So we did a research and we interviewed businesses which were successful in turning payments from a cost center to, I would say, a profit engine or a strategic growth lever. It gave some very interesting results. And I can name a few if you like. What some of these businesses really got right and what really kind of helped them turn payments into this strategic growth lever was, for example, one of the things which came out, which stood out of the research is creating a, I would say, C-suite steering group, engaging the C-suite with payments, because there's typically this view on payments from the C-suite that it's, a pure cost drive, right? It's an invoice. It's not having a direct impact on revenue, and engaging C-suite and creating a cross-functional payments group really helps creating this visibility on payments, and I think that's really important. One of the other things which came out is that the teams which were able to create quick wins in the beginning, creating this awareness about payments, that they can actually have a direct bottom line impact, were very successful. And what is also really important is selecting the right partners, right? That matters. Partners which enable you to be to take control and to be flexible, to iterate and to move into new markets, launch new products. So those were the key findings which came out of that research.
That's really interesting. So from that report, were you able to gather any kind of quick wins that merchants could make that really helped on that payments front?
Yeah. Of course, it's quite difficult to have quick wins in payments, because most of the changes which will really have impact are quite structural and require investment. But in order to engage the organization and also get that C-level buy-in, we saw merchants which were successful in doing so, focusing on a few quick wins. Of course, one of the obvious one is getting your costs under control, or improve your total cost of payment acceptance. Renegotiate your fees with the PSP, potentially review line items which can be negotiated out of the contract, improve the approval rates, the conversion of the checkout, try to remove, I would say, the obvious declines from the authorization and approval performance. Was one of the I'd say quick wins you can look at. It may sound obvious, but there are a lot of wins to get from basically the data you could get from that, and working together with your PSP, making the customer journey as effective and efficient as possible, as smooth as possible for your customers. Of course, one of the things which is important, especially on mobile, making it as frictionless as possible. So those were quick wins which allowed these merchants to really create visibility in their organizations around payments.
We'll move on to the checkout experience. How do you feel that merchants can balance the customer experience with commercial performance at the checkout?
Yeah, I think so. Basically, what came out of the research was the merchants which were successful in this is they treated the checkout as a product, right? So they really fine-tuned it per market, per segment, per channel, and basically took an opposite approach of the one-size-fits-all, and really viewing it as a product stood out. I think what is also important is all about approval rates and getting the best performance, but there's also a cost to that, right? So it's having a balanced scorecard, so to say, for the things which matter, because there's a cost to payments. There's also fraud, right? I would say finding the right balance in that was basically what stood out for businesses which were successful.
Okay, so if we're looking at partnerships now, if a merchant was thinking about reviewing their partnerships, what would you say are the sort of key elements to making that successful?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's very tough, right? Because I speak to merchants quite a lot, and also from this research, it came out that selecting the right partner is obviously very important. But there's, if you look at MPE here, there's so many, providers out there, and most of them, look the same, right? But definitely in the details. I think if I look at the core, I think what is really important and how I view it, and what also came out of this research, is that partners which basically give you visibility and control as a merchant over your performance. I think that's one of the key elements of it, because you can't optimize what you can't see, right? And so it's a partner which allows you to measure your performance, your payment performance, but also allows you to actually improve it, right? And a partner which allows you to be flexible, to test, to launch, and to reiterate when you launch new product APMs or product payment methods, or launch into new markets.
Finally, Roy, we're going to move on to the last question. I'm going to ask you to gaze into your crystal ball and let me know what you think about what merchants feel about payments in the next 2 or 3 years. What are the big elements that they look at and will shape the payments market in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think if we stick to the research and basically what I think merchants can do now, I think the merchant which will be successful in basically creating or making payments a strategic growth lever are the ones which are basically able to change the mindset of seeing payments as an operational necessity to a strategic growth driver. What I would definitely recommend merchants is to create a C-suite steering group and cross-functional payments teams with, I would say, one single view on performance, meaning that everyone is aligned on what success actually will mean. And I would say that in combination with the other recommendations which came out of the report, I think will set merchants up for success.
Brilliant. Thanks, Roy. Thanks very much for joining us at MPE. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.